already on. Okay, I thought it was already on. Now, okay, it's already on. Okay, I thought it was already on. Now, okay, it's already on. Okay, I thought it was already on. Now, okay. All right, we're waiting for people to get up in here with us. Anyone who didn't got a difference in time. So we're gonna give people time to get up in here. For those of you who already have the information, go ahead and sign in. This is a special Bow Tie Chronicles. Once again, giving all of those who are okay. No. Let me see. Problem. Mute. And earphones. Okay. Okay. I don't know what happened to my camera. Okay. Okay, when anybody gets inside, go ahead, give a brother a heads up so we can hear you. Okay. We got in New York, it's about it's about 12:11. So definitely in some other places. Okay, okay. We finally got somebody up in the house. Uh-oh. 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 Uh-oh.
Assalamualaikum.
MashaAllah. Walaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All right. Okay.
Slow down.
Oh man, I see what's going down, bruh. I see what's going down. New York is in the house, even though it ain't Harlem, it's just New York at the moment. You know what I mean? So
Uh-huh.
trying to wait for some of these participants to get in here for the simple fact that serious time difference. You know what I
Uh,
mean?
yeah. I
And
hear you.
so
I hear
because
you.
of the time situation in New York, I think it's like 10 in the morning. And in other areas. So I think
Mm-hmm.
um, in California, it may even be
Uh-huh.
it may be like 9 o'clock in the morning or even earlier.
Gotcha.
So but anyway,
Mm-hmm.
without further ado, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's about 9 o'clock over there. So
Okay, gotcha.
um without further ado, we still gonna jump into this and basically
Uh-huh.
wait for others to arrive on the scene as crispy and clean as you have, you know what I mean? And then we can pose some of the questions out there to them uh,
Okay.
as we get started, you know what I mean? Because some of them may even come in late, and so
Mm-hmm.
we can hash out some of the questions again. Now the topic is clear, you know what I mean? Black
Mm-hmm.
power is black economics, and
Uh-huh.
this is not a new topic. Um, Me and you have had several discussions concerning the topic, and Dr. Claud Anderson has laid it out in numerous
Mm-hmm.
classes very well. So it's not new,
True.
and we're not new to the subject. But um, the first question I got is,
Mm-hmm.
why are we afraid to create
Mm-hmm.
with our own people, man? That's what I just don't understand. That's the first
Mm.
question I have for anyone who come in the room, is that why are we afraid to create with our own people? Now, I don't want you to beat around the bush, Harlem. You know what I mean? For those that don't know, you know what I'm saying? This is my brother right here. This is one of my beloved brothers right here. You know what I mean? He from
I
he
appreciate
from out of
it.
that New York, where it get named twice. You know what I'm saying? So and because of that, you know what I mean. We want to keep it. We want to keep it all the way 100. You know what I mean? Keep it 1,000. When you answer the question, we got brother Akil coming up in here too. So
Okay, cool,
and we
cool.
welcome that brother. But right now, the question is posed to you, and as brother Akil gets in,
Uh-huh.
definitely, we're gonna let him go ahead and hit the question also. So without further ado, the Bowtie Chronicles jumps off again, and we jumping right
Mm-hmm.
off the cliff, headlong into it, without further, without even holding back. You know,
Mm-hmm.
without holding back, we up in the house, and the Bowtie Chronicles. Walaikum
Walaikum
assalam wa
salam.
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Like I said, the Bowtie Chronicles is about to jump headlong off the cliff into this here subject, man. And we woke up and
Mm-hmm.
welcome all the brothers, man, and hoping that we can come out of this. See, what I don't like to do is that I don't want to talk about something and we're not gonna do nothing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the reason for the discussion first is to kind of like iron out some of the possibilities or some of our own personal problems, and
Mm-hmm.
then move towards solution, which Dr. Claude Anderson already laid out all the
Yeah.
solutions, but a lot of those solutions, as far as they kind of over, they kind of above,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of above a lot of our situations, for the simple fact that a lot of our people come from out of the inner city, where we may not have certain basics that other communities may have. So it's kind of hard for us to actually carry out a lot of what the doctor lays out. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But there are some things that we can do. So what we're gonna do first is that we're gonna try to understand why we are where we are at right now. And so the brother, he was just about to answer this question right here before you came in, my brother. So the first question I have is, why are we afraid to create group economics with our own people. And so after the brother finishes, Brother Akil, we're gonna let you go ahead and bite into it after him and go ahead and give us your spiel on it. And as the brother's speaking, try to mute your microphone so that you know what I mean, so that we can hear each other pretty good. So without further ado, brother, go ahead, get up in there.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Great, wonderful. I think it goes back to there was a little Boondocks episode where the brother was like, ninjas is going to be ninjas, and like that's the bottom line. I think we suffer from Stockholm syndrome to this day. I think it's a lack of not only black love but self love. I don't think we love each other anymore. So I think we're still in the process of seeking. We're still seeking attention and acceptance from those who don't love us or like us, and I think that lack of self love and loving each other prevents any kind of economic progress, because there's always, like, you always have that thing in the back of your mind. He's trying to scheme on me or this or that. This is a constant situation that I see. Now, granted, you're going to have like-minded groups, but I just don't think there's enough of them. So, you do have some people who are kind of coming together, but us as a whole, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to come together on a financial standpoint, because we're still too busy not trying to create our own. Like, recently in the news, there's a brother named Joe Budden and Charlemagne, and Charlemagne has been running, very popular on this network called iHeartRadio, which I believe kind of runs Hot 97. So he's literally made them over the past 10 years. And Joe Budden went ahead and got on, his own thing per se. And so Charlemagne, Joe is trying to get Charlemagne to understand that it's all about ownership. 10 years, and you're still under their thumb. How is that progress? Yeah, Spotify. If you look at Funk Master Flex, ask them, yo, you should own this. You've been here for like 30 years. Like, why do you still not own it? So despite having much success, we're still under Master's feet per se. And for a lot of us, it's not a foot that we want to get from under. We kind of like it there, unfortunately. Because I think we are afraid to go and step outside either with our own people, because you don't get access to Master's clubhouse or playhouse per se. That's it. Let me mute my mic.
All right. I hear you. That was okay. Let's see what the brother Akil gonna bring on this particular subject, brother. So you heard what the brother said, you know what I'm saying? And you chimed in and hit it right on the head. It is Spotify. Yeah, I was looking at that yesterday. And so without further ado, brother, same question coming right back at you. And keep in mind that anything you say can and will be held against you. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. Because if you say something up here, I'm gonna hold you to it. So anything you say, all right, okay. Go ahead, my brother.
Alhamdulillah. I think it's twofold, right? I think it's part of what the brother was saying in terms of us not loving one another. I do think it's that. But then I also think there's an aspect that we're missing, in that every person doesn't necessarily need an entrepreneurial spirit in order for there to be a community. right? Just as everyone doesn't need to be a physician in order for there to be a community. Everyone doesn't need to be um, a warrior inclined in order for there to be a community. But you need those type of people in each community. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's part of the issue, right? So take for myself, I'm not really entrepreneurial inclined, right? I'll say that, right? Um, but I have tried to engage in business, and I'll give a real example with myself. So, in 2008, Detroit. I'm originally from Detroit, by the way. In Detroit, they hit a when the market fell and the economy fell at that time. The property values went very, very low in Detroit, very, very low. And so I had already owned the home that I was living in at the time, but the home that I lived in was on the other side of the town from the community that I attended, the masjid that I attended. The masjid I attended was Masjid al-Haq under Imam Luqman, rahimahullah. And so what I did was I bought homes around the community, right? With the initial thought of moving in one myself and then allowing other Muslims to move into other homes and just rent it out until they're able to afford it, and then just have them buy it from me. Not even to make money necessarily off of them, but to facilitate the community in building around the masjid, right? Not just talk about it, do something, right? At the time, I wasn't into real estate or anything like that. I work in IT. That's how I made my money, lawful money that I had made, you know what I'm saying? So alhamdulillah, I had, a large amount of money in stock and so forth that I had in the company. And what I did was take that money out of the stock and everything, and I put it in buying homes around the masjid. Well, I wasn't a landlord, right? And like the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said about when they were growing the groves and, listening, to how to plant, right? And they took advice on how to plant from them, right? And can you hear me?
You talking about when some of the Sahaba took advice on how to pollinate their date trees, and they lost out that
And they
year.
lost.
And then in the end, he told them, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam,
Sorry.
that I'm not a date farmer.
I'm not a date farmer, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I wasn't a landlord. I didn't have that inclination, but I had the spirit to want to build. So let me tell you what happened. Brothers moved into homes and couldn't afford to pay, right? Never evicted nobody. The brothers stayed in the homes, and then I gave them years to move out. They wouldn't. Now I'm stuck in a situation. Do I violently go and extract the brothers, creating a fitna, or do I call the police who have literally murdered our imam to get them out? Right? Didn't do either. But that in turn led me to lose out on those properties. And then one of the properties, I ended up selling it to a brother that was living there for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Basically for nothing, so that he could stay in the home. Right? And alhamdulillah, he stayed there for a while. But the thing of it is, like I said, you have to know that what business that you're going into, that you are inclined to that business. It's just not about having good intentions and money, right? You have to know the business, and also, you know what I'm saying, you should be able to bounce back from that loss. Like it shouldn't be everything, right? So I put everything and end up buying like let's see, 1, 2, 3 single family homes around the masjid and 1 duplex. Lost them all of that money, right? So the thing of it is that we 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 like to say the brothers who have money and who have means and who've worked to provide for their families, they don't love as because they don't invest. But it's also is that they don't want to risk all that they've worked for and then lose it because the other people don't do their job too, right? It's a mutual thing that has to happen. You know, right? If I put up the money and I buy, right? I done did the bulk of it. You're gonna pay rent somewhere anyway, right? You're gonna pay rent from somewhere. You have to live somewhere. Why not live around the masjid? And if you're gonna pay someone else for rent until you can buy, why not pay rent to me? You see what I'm saying? But that didn't happen. And so when brothers say, hey, well, you know, we just don't love each other, and the people who make the money, they want to be around the white people. No, it's because, hey, if I move over to this gated community, I don't have to worry about that, right? I'm have my money that I'm investing into this property is going to be equity in my home, and it's going to build. And we could talk about the riba issue and stuff, but it's going to build, and then my value that I'm building for my progeny and everything will be sustained, as opposed to you risking it all to help the community, right? Because it was not like a immediate financial return for me. It was about building around the community, something that the imam wanted us to do. So my thing was like, okay, we're going to continue on this legacy. The FBI, the police, they ain't going to stop nothing because ain't nobody scared. We still going to build. And in the end, it wasn't the FBI, it wasn't the white people, it wasn't any of that who basically caused me to lose out on my money. It was people who I loved, people who professed to love me, right? That didn't do their part to help the community grow. So while I do agree with you, brother, mashallah, that we do have problems with our love of each other, we also have to be very, very clear that character, ikhlaq, adab, it goes deeper than just merely loving one another. You have to look at the behavior of the people who you are engaging in, because that character is going to let you know has the Islam truly marinated with them, and they're changing their behavior so that you can deal with it a certain way, right? Or do they not haven't changed, and therefore you can't deal with them a certain way? They still your brother, mashallah. You still pray with them and so forth, break bread with them, but do you invest in them when their character doesn't warrant it? For example, when Abu Dhar, rahimahullah, wanted to be leader, and the Prophet ﷺ said, no, this ain't for you. Basically, you know what I'm saying, to paraphrase. This not for you, Abu Dhar. Leadership isn't for you. He didn't excommunicate him from the community. He just said that this leadership ain't for you. And we have to recognize that, mashallah, a person can be brotherly, can be Muslim, but that doesn't mean that their character and their business acumen warrant you, one, taking business advice from them, two, investing in their character to build economically. Like, we have to be real about that. We can't be wishful in it and ignore very, very real and apparent issues. So if a person, go ahead.
Let me say this right here. Okay. Your example is good. Okay. But we also are looking at where we at right now. Okay,
Okay.
and the reason
All
why,
right.
and the reason why this topic is relevant for our present day situation is
Mm-hmm.
because um like right now we got all Muslims on the on the panel at the moment speaking, but
Right.
we talk about this particular issue of concern. I'm speaking in a broader sense. I'm
Got you.
speaking
Got you. Got
as far as all African Americans or African Americans also with Africans. Okay, why do I say that? Because like myself, the other brother, he's firmly established in Africa. Okay, and so what we the global sense of pulling
Ah,
together,
got you.
the global sense of pulling together has to be at to a point where when I see one of my brothers, I don't care where we at,
Mm-hmm.
where he's from, or where I'm from, if he's Hebrew Israelite, if he's a Kenyan
Ah,
Christian, if he's what we have to realize is that we need to be financially connected some way in order for us to grow. Okay, so this leads me to my next question. Okay, and your answers, both of y'all, I don't have no issues with your answers, but based upon your answers, I gotta ask this question right here. Because a lot of us got backgrounds. We come from different cities. You know what I'm saying? You speaking on Detroit. I'm all the way down in Cali. My brother coming from out of Harlem. And some other people that's going to be coming on here from other areas. So the other question that has to be answered is, why in the hell, excuse my language, are we able to put money together? Like you said, you put the money together and, the brothers, how they did and they did. How are we able to put money together when we doing some bad stuff, like pushing the bag on the block or whatever we doing? You know, the kind of stuff that our people do sometimes. Okay. Why are we able to do that and do it with sincerity and do it with the kind of stuff that you spoke about, akhlaq, and like Muhammad spoke about love? You know what I mean? Why are we able to do that with all of those characteristics? But all of a sudden, when you come into some righteousness or some consciousness, there's a gang of niggerism in it, niggerification. We start money start disappearing, and we start. You understand what I'm trying to say here? So these are the two most important questions. That's why I asked you the first question first to prepare you. I told you whatever you say, all right, you got to hold up to what you say now, because the second question is coming, and the second question okay, what you said is true, all right, about the love part. Niggas in the streets, man, they be showing love because they could put, hey, you already know what they do because you from Detroit, I'm from Cali, and he from out of New York, so we already know how they pull together. So my question again: how do brothers pull together when they're in the streets and be on some grimy, foul stuff and be ready to go all the way to the hellfire for one another? Because hey, we already know it. You already know when you're in that destination where you already know, you know, you don't even care about going. You ain't think about heaven. You ain't think about paradise. So how is it that we get like that? Okay. And so when it
okay.
comes down to some righteous stuff, then so we're gonna pose that question back out there again, back up there to the brother, and then we're gonna give you a chance to go ahead and speak on it after him again, and like I said.
All right. It kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Ninjas is gonna be ninjas. It's the bottom line. And until you get that ninja spirit up out of you, I mean, when it comes down to an old Biggie song, partying and BSing, Like when it come down to that, you hype, you jump up, you like, you ready to rock and roll. So I really think that it's a spiritual nature. Growing up in Harlem, you got the BLA movement, you got so many different movements, right? You got Buy Black, you got the Buy Black, I remember growing up seeing that, but growing up, you did not want to wear certain clothing. In fact, you couldn't, or else, you're like immediately out of being cool, or, getting played from girls or whatever, because, you had to have a certain type of attire. But in terms of getting together and doing something righteous, and again, for me, this is a spiritual issue, and this is where I think Africa comes into play, because Africa comes into play, or those brothers who have been to Africa and have come back to the States, this is where they come into play. The issue, though, is sometimes a lot of brothers, when they go over to the motherland, you're not really trying to come back to your block because you know what your block is. And unfortunately, brothers might come back to their block and just get shot. So it's like, you're trying to elevate yourself, but you already know how things are when you get home. So I think the spiritual has to be attacked, because if not, we're going to continue to do that. Like, we are people who love shucking and jiving, unfortunately, when it comes to certain things, because there's no real work in it, and we don't see it as work. If so and so say, let's come together, let's, strip of this or do that. Cats are like, cats become scientists, cats be, cats are measuring product correctly, like, to the T, like, but when it comes down to doing other things, unfortunately, we're not there. So a solution, I would say, is like-minded brothers have to get together and kind of do things and not push it on brothers. Because the other issue is, we get angry, or brothers on the block get angry when, you kind of come at them with, hey, y'all should be doing X, Y, and Z. Because then uh, there's a mental thing popping off. Because now it's like, oh, you think you're better than me. You got this element that comes in. You can come in with the most respect, but it don't matter. It's still like, you're better than me. So that's where I see Africans from a spiritual nature. We need them, and I feel like they need us on a whole lot of issues as well. And I feel like that kind of coming together, I think, is very, very critical. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
So basically, in a nutshell, you're saying that we can come together in the streets because we our spiritual state is low.
Yeah, I'm basically saying that, at the end of the day, that ninja that is up in us, that we kind of grew up around, that, that atmosphere, even in the best of us, is still there. Come out in all kinds of different ways. Like, you trying to fly, straighten up and fly right, but sometimes, we kind of falter in certain aspects. But imagine a brother who still has his ninja spirit 100%, and is really, really, still doing what we either used to do or kind of grew up around. And so, unfortunately, I think one issue that does need to happen, and this is the easiest solution, it's hard to get brothers to do this, is like we were talking about the other day, is, drop squatting people, take them out of the hood. They got to travel, they got to see, a different perspective, because we still got brothers who ain't left the city. I know brothers in the Bronx who barely left the Bronx. Like, I don't need to go nowhere. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that if we're being honest, we got certain issues on the ninja side of the game that we are not ready to address fully, because even some of our righteous brothers still kind of like that ninja stuff as well, as long as it can be kept under wraps, per se.
Okay, so ninja in perspective. So that brings me back to a saying of our late Imam Wardi Muhammad back in the days. He used to say that we we new Muslims and old niggas. You know what I'm saying? That was one of his famous sayings. Yeah. So basically, Brother Akil, we're gonna go ahead and let you go ahead and chime in on there and give us your take on that. Same question. Same question.
Okay, why don't you do this for me, Sheikh? Repeat the question so that I'm clear what the question. think I got the question, but I just want you to repeat.
Okay. Why are we able to put money together for all kind of illegal activity? Buying bricks, flying in bricks, crossing state line with bricks, trafficking women, all kind of, we do all kind of, and we do it real good, unfortunately. And we don't, and we come together as a, you know what I mean? It's a group economic thing. We all come together and, we got guidelines, we got rules, no using telephones in the car, you ain't supposed to, all kind of stuff. We follow rules and everything. My point is that why are we able to do that? But when it comes down to doing something like where we are right now, we trying to make a righteous move to earn equity, like you were speaking about, as far as buying property, and owning houses, and you tried to instill that in brothers in your own community by trying to give them a hand up, and they didn't see the essence in trying to own that, and you basically gave it to them. So why is it that when it comes to something righteous, we don't have the same fire that brothers had when they was out you know what I'm saying, running them blocks? Why they don't have the same fire? Why we, you know what I mean?
So you want okay, so you want me to keep it all the way 100, or you want me to
if you ain't ready to keep it 100, then you
okay.
might step away from the
All right.
Okay, I'm about to say you might step away from the question.
All right.
Ain't ready.
So
Okay.
here it is, right? In the streets, it's self-selecting, meaning the people who get down are the people who see the vision, right? Everybody want, if I'm the man with the bag on the block, I got the whip. The dudes who don't got the whip, they want, hey, I want to ride like that guy got. What does it take to get to where he's doing? Okay, you got to flip this work. Now, the dude, you're going to have a hustle because he see the vision, right? I want to do it. He get down, he starts flipping it, right? You got different characters, right? You got the people who are never going to sell, they're never going to hustle, they don't have that mentality. You got the people that's going to hustle and they want to advance, right? They're the ones who you sell them sometimes, they might get fronted. Next time they putting up half, right? Then the next time after that, they buying their whole thing. They want to advance. Then you got the guys who don't really want to hustle. They just want to be down. So they're going to be forever getting fronted. They never going to accumulate nothing to build because they're going to blow all of their cop money up front. They ain't going to do that, right? Then you got the ones who they quote unquote, what we say, run off on the plug, right? They don't last long because there's consequences with running off on the plug, right? So you got all those factors. It's not everybody that go in to just automatically be great hustlers and put together. No, it's different levels of dudes. So like we said, we got the dude who front, who going to get to that point where he be the front or he be one with the bag. You got the dude who's always going to be a joint worker. He's never going to be nothing else but a joint worker, right? MashaAllah, when you come into Islam, you don't always want to see that your brother is a joint worker. You can see the characteristics. If you've been in the street, you see this dude, how he move, his characteristics. He's a joint worker, right? Why get that dude a brick? Doesn't make sense. But you're looking at it from a religious perspective. Why can't this brother have as much as the next brother? We want for our brother what we want for ourselves. So you're going to give him that opportunity because he's a brother. But his characteristic doesn't warrant him getting more than that. One of my sheikhs, he said this. He said, you got $5 pocket, $25 pocket, $50 pocket, $100 pocket. Which pocket do you get a brother from? Every brother ain't $100 pocket brother. That's a reality. We accept that a reality in the streets. We don't accept that reality when we come into the Islam and we want to give everybody from the $100 pocket, and they just not there. They're not, right? That dude, he's not gonna be trustworthy of putting a bag in his hand. You gotta give him a bundle. Okay, you go sell this 12 pack, you get 2 off tops and bring me back 10. That's the dude. You can't give him the whole brick because he's gonna make you do something to him, right? And so then that's the other part, right? Dudes in the street, they respect the consequences. If I do this to this man, it's something gonna happen to me. I'm not gonna just be able to freely, cavalierly not pay what I owe. Whereas when you come into Islam, you know, it's a thing. It's like, okay, yeah, my sincere intentions, inshallah, ta'ala, I'm going to get it to you. Nah, it's not your brother. You got to accept that. Whether he ever gives it to you or have intentions in his heart, we can't judge that, right? So we say, okay, mashallah. Or we even say, okay, well, we have to forgive. It's better to forgive. Because on Yom Kippur, you will want Allah Ta'ala to forgive you. So these are all of the things. But if we take those same approach to looking at character and looking at the hustle, because the street, again, is self-selecting. The people who want to be down, that show their merit, who see the vision, they're going to band together and hustle. Islam ain't self-selecting on the business aspect. It is your intentions to want to worship Allah. And a dude can be a scumbag and not be meritorious of being in business with, but that don't mean that he doesn't worship Allah sincerely. He can truly, sincerely worship Allah, truly, sincerely be a Muslim, but he has foibles. He has shortcomings that don't merit him being in business with nobody. Give that brother zakat, give him sadaqah, right? But don't give him or put him as part of the business where he can hurt the business. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay. So the ideal or the understanding that I have when we talk about group economics, okay, more so to the point where once a person gets involved with group economics, okay, if he hurts his business, he's hurting his own business. Okay, why? Because he's invested. All right, and so that's the whole, the overall concept is that
economics where everybody who's investing is at the same level of financial investment. I was thinking in terms of group economics where you have people who are on different social economic levels, but still seeing the bigger picture, like we are Black, we are trying to build. Hey, I want to build. I don't have $5,000 cash to invest, but I got $100. I still want to invest. I got $50. I still want to invest. That's what I'm talking about. Like the people who have.
Okay, so understand what I'm saying is that when we talk about group economics, though, we all are not going to come in on the same tier,
right?
Okay. And so, but that does not take away the brother's opportunity to get in. Okay, but where he gets in is where he benefit. Okay, so try to understand that aspect. So the real aspect that I'm talking about, or I'm trying to really boil down to, is trying to understand what makes us not be able to do what it is that we need to do now after everything has become clear. Because everything right now is clear. And everyone who sees what's happening right now around them every day, it's just impossible for you not to have a clear vision. And I'm not even there. I'm not even there. You know what I mean? And I haven't been there in like 20 years. So what I'm saying is that for people that are there, you know, that whole aspect. I see you want to go ahead and say something. You about to go ahead and you about to fall through the screen. Go ahead.
Oh no, no. Nah, I would say that people at home, um, unfortunately, we're still just talking. I would say that it's kind of like a brother who says, I'm going to the motherland. But when you get there, the flies
You run
drive you
back
so
home.
crazy, you run back home. You know what I mean? Like so like to me, it does go back to love from the standpoint that we are so used to failure with dealing with our people on any kind of level that once we do attain some economic prosperity, we're not dealing with them no more.
Mm.
Period. Just because like you don't want to lose, like what the brother was saying. You don't want to lose what you work for because you already know some ninja stuff might pop off. So back to your question, Scotty. I just don't think that we are ready to come to the table as one unit because we are still in master shoes per se. I, if you look at the Moody Brotherhood in Senegal, when they came to Harlem, man, they came to Harlem and they literally have like avenues sold up right now, and their system is very simple. It's somebody we're gonna put you on. When you get on, you're gonna put the other brother on. And like when they built like they just finished another masjid in Senegal, no outside help. They said we don't need your help. Everybody's going to contribute. And so when everybody's able to do that, no matter your economic status, you know you're going to get put on at one time or another. So I honestly think that we don't have that trust amongst each other anymore. And I think there's also fear. The other issue is we are too busy trying to appease other races. If you go home and say, "Hey, I'm about to start this all black, whatever," you're gonna have coons in the back saying, "But what about the Spanish people? What about these people? What about the alphabet people? We got to include everybody." And so we stay on that, and this is a divisive tactic, and until we kind of weed those kind of cats out, this is going to continue. You know what I mean? So like in Haiti, the brother Dessalines, if he found black people who are now on code, they got chopped too. They got killed too. We don't need you. You know what I mean? So I kind of think that we're gonna have to kind of get to that level of 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 uh, of brutality per se, of ruthlessness, and say, oh, but I'm black too. Nah, you know, like period. Like so, even when we see, for example, Caribbeans and Africans who are in the states, um, they definitely practice economic prosperity amongst their own, and we're financing them. We're buying their stuff. But like, if you were to set up a business next to an African store, a Spanish store, Caribbean store, cats will not go in your store, although you were born and bred there. They just won't. Like they just won't. Sometimes it's out of jealousy. You know what I mean? Like, like I've seen it time and time again in Harlem where, somebody would set something up. And the first day you might see people there, but cats will not, we will not support each other as I would say as foundational Black Americans. The hate is real. And that's really what, to me, that's really kind of what it boils down to. So it's going to take like-minded brothers to kind of come together and show the model. Like when you look at what Joe Budden is doing, you know, people may have issues with him, but what he's been talking about is powerful. You know, people hate Dame Dash, but Dame Dash makes good points. Ownership, you know, that's it.
Okay, both of y'all mentioned one point here that I wanted to speak on, and really resorting back to some of the points that the nation had back in the day. And the nation had some key points, and the key points was that um, everybody had a job, and if you didn't carry out your job, they was gonna come and deal with you. Okay. And what one brother told me, and this is because the presence as far as how the nation rolled here in Cali, where I'm from, um, even when they split up, how they rolled in the East Bay, Oakland area, all up in there, is that they roll real different. You know what I mean? Meaning to say that um, they still come and get you. You know, up until like to the 2000s or around up in there in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? When I was up in that area, and so they were revered, they were respected, and so I think that a lot of that uh, aspect of because as African Americans, he said that that you knew that there was consequences if you didn't come right with 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 that bag on the block. Okay, so likewise in the nation, you knew that there was consequences if things didn't come right. Okay, so therefore, once again, it goes back to there has to be an element of fear. Okay, but not so to make a person at least fear Allah to the degree where we have to. I mean, that's just an understanding that I have. Not that I'm ready to deal with people like that at the moment, but I've always had that concept to really say that that's the best way to deal with our people until they get to that state. Okay, but that's like I said, that's um a whole nother reality that we probably ain't gonna get to. Go ahead.
I was gonna say to your point there. I think it has to be a matter of excommunication until you can get your stuff together. Like it has to be on some just can't deal with you. Not only can we not deal with you, you can't be in our vicinity. You're like, oh, you can't be in on what we're doing until you're able to do X, Y, and Z. We just can't deal with you. I feel like that needs to happen. Like, when Khalid Muhammad was in Harlem and he would walk around, uh, you know, I've seen some of the hardest cats straighten up, kind of stand up, and not even on some, let me shake your hand, let me stop what I'm doing, and at least till he walked past, because like he kind of commanded that, like it was really like and even if you see the nation, walking down the street, everything kind of stops, you know so like of course we're not looking at things from an akita standpoint, but in terms of how to move and what should be expected, because you are forced as a man to kind of look at yourself. Hey, like straighten up, so yeah, when those brothers are moving, I kind of got to respect it. But I think that, of course, not from a physicality standpoint, we kind of got to say, hey, brothers, you can't be in on this until you're able to do X, Y, and Z, until you could be vetted. And if you can't be vetted, then you can't be dealt with, because you could be a coon, you could be a coon in disguise. And until those coons are weeded out, nothing can really get done, because either our plans will get revealed, you know, that that situation is still prevalent in our community.
Assalamu alaikum. So I get the point that both of you guys are making, and alhamdulillah, I do agree with it. But I will say this. So frequently we use the NOI as like a template, a model, right? And I'm gonna have to push back on that a little bit, right? Because I'm originally from Detroit, and I knew several elders who were in the nation then and in Philly, right? But also, through conversations, I'll say it like that, various conversations. I also know what went on in the nation, pretty much generally speaking. You had basically three different levels of the nation that really people don't talk about, right? But it was really three different levels of the nation where, depending on what your approach and how you moved in life, that was how you moved in the nation, so to speak. So, right, on one side, yeah, the brothers was cleaned up and, moved to be righteous and so forth. But then you had another group that was in there that was heavy in the streets. They never came out of the streets. They were always in the streets. And anybody in these cities, Oakland, Detroit, Philly, New York, Kansas City, St. Louis, Cleveland, like, I'm saying these places because I know the names of the individuals who I'm talking about, right? They never left the streets, and many of their businesses were just fronts for the street stuff, right? Like, we got to be honest about that, right? So we being real, right? So, but the thing that was always key and central was respect. It was respect to the business and to the movement, because you understood that to not have respect was consequences, real consequences. I can't
With
hear
that,
you.
by saying that, I want to share. I want to add to that by saying that um, the brother who gave me my shahada, he was an imam that, well, actually, he was a lieutenant
Okay.
in the nation, and so when he came out the nation, he came over with transition with the pioneer, with Imam Mufti Muhammad, and so forth.
Rahimullah.
Yeah, rahimahullah. When I found out later on his role, as far as how they rode, I was visiting another brother named brother Abdul Rauf. Abdul Rauf studied in Sudan with the first group of the imams, the young brothers that went over there. I think Imam Lukman was one of them from out of Philly, and then Enrique Rashid, and then Abdul Rauf, some other brothers, and also Muhammad Sharif ended up going over there too, and also Bahi Muhammad and all them brothers. Okay. Now, when I met Abdul Rauf, and I took my shahada in 1990. I met Abdul Rauf after I came back from Sudan in 1997, the first time I came back. And he said, "Oh, bro, yeah, you been to Sudan?" I was in Sudan. So I meet the brother and everything. So I tell him my whole story, how I became Muslim and everything. That brother said, "That's who gave you your shahada?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, that brother right there used to be my lieutenant." He said, as a young man, I never could understand that. He said that they would give us 100 newspapers and tell us that we had to make $200. He said, and if y'all don't have y'all quota right by by Savior's Day, y'all ain't going to Savior's Day. And he said, I could never understand how I was supposed to do that. You know what I mean? And then he said later on it made sense. He said, I cut on the news, and this is his captain. He was his lieutenant, became his captain. Right. He said, so the lieutenant, our lieutenant, he on the news with 4 other lieutenants. He said they ran up beside this bar that you know, used to sell liquor up in the neighborhood, and they had, you know, they run up in there, they held up the bar, and they held up the bar, and basically somebody was coming in and saw it was being jacked, and he, you know, he backed out, made the phone call, boom, police came. And so they get caught up in the bar and they can't come out and have a shootout. So everybody, they shoot one of the brothers, and then the other brothers surrender. The one that gave me my shot, I don't want to say his name. Boom, he ain't surrendering. He's a lieutenant, he ain't surrendering. So he run, he climb, he go around the back, he go up, get up on the roof, and he try to jump from the building that he was on to another building. This all in Oakland, California.
Right.
And so they end up shooting him up off the roof. And he said, you know, make a long story short, yeah, all the lieutenants, they all went to jail. You know what I mean? So he told me that story. He was like, I just couldn't understand that, you know. And then afterwards, it was made clear. But this is how that whole other aspect, the one you spoke about, the different levels, is that a lot of the dudes, brothers that was in the nation, was professional jackers before Islam. Okay.
Exactly, Shay. But listen, it's deep, man, because and a lot of the, you know, a lot of professors, and when they talk about Islam and the nation and what they did, and we start using them as an economic model, they don't understand what was going on. Like, for example, right?
No. Don't get me wrong. I understand what you're saying, but I have to say this right here.
Right.
When you look at the time, and like the brother mentioned, as they're not an Islamic model, but they are a model for Black people. When you look at, as far as having an antidote, okay, that was able to clean up some people, because Malcolm came out the nation, okay, right, and even though Malcolm understood that they had that faction within them, he knew that faction was there for a reason, because there is one aspect that I think a lot of us, we still don't understand, is that in order to be free, you still have to have your own apparatus, your own military, your own brigade. If you don't have that, okay, you will always be a slave. So whenever you have a situation where confrontation is necessary, those elements have to be there. And so you can't take that fire up out of them, because once you take that fire up out of them, it probably be hard to replace that again. Okay. And so I understand the point that you're making, but once again, for me, and I say this all the time, a lot of brothers, they disagree with me. Muhammad know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying? And this is unfortunate. And this is just how I feel. This is unfortunate. This is how I feel.
Right.
I haven't been in America, man, in 20 years. But based upon what I see and how I feel right now, as far as being around Africans and being around Arabs, Paks, Indos, everybody, being around all the Muslims all over the world, okay? If I had to be in America and had to bring my children back to America, I don't think that I would probably be in an African-American Muslim Sunni community. That's just how I feel. Because stagnation and the lack of, like a lot of people out of my community, instead of putting the early pioneers, the masjid down in San Diego, brother, that's like masjid number, I think it's like the 7th masjid, one of the first masjids on the East Coast. Okay. And the economic Masjid Taqwa down in San Diego.
Okay.
Okay. And this masjid was purchased by one of our pioneers. Okay. And so the legacy that is carried over is based upon those actions that they actually put into effect. Now,
Right.
when you look now and you look at what's happening to a lot of our communities, we don't have children. Like in San Diego, where I'm from, the majority of the kids that are from that generations from those kids, their kids are in a pen. Okay, their kids selling drugs. Their kids are, you know what I mean. So for me, that is that's a complete loss, and that's the reason why for me, I realized that I had to go ahead and get my kids up out of there or not have kids over there so that I would not, because I was able to see those communities and be with them and see what was the effect of having their Islam in the States and not put their money together to create schools and have the foundation to develop an economic base so that the kids wouldn't have to, you know what I mean, so they could see, men standing up and doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. And so because of that, a lot of their kids is, they in the pen now, and some of them are not. They lost their kids because they didn't have. Go ahead. They lost their kids.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say about that, and I've given this a lot of thought and looking at it, being on the ground, just give you kind of background. Like I've taught in Islamic schools, I've been part of leadership of masjids, I've ran Islamic organizations, nonprofit organizations, all that off of IT background. But what I did in the community was totally disconnected from what I did professionally. What I want to say is this. Going back to what Brother Muhammad said in terms of using the murid as an example, the thing that unifies them is not only their Islam, in terms of their Islamic identity, right? Is that they also have a ethnic cohesion. They know what their ethnicity is and they adhere to it. They know what their Islam is and they adhere to it, right? So it has to be one of the things that has been detrimental. And a lot of people won't agree with me on this, but it has, is that we've taught Islam as this universalistic so as to not get smeared with asabiya or hisbiya, right? But every group, every successful masjid, every successful community, when you walk into that community, when you go to that enclave that they may have in a particular city, you go into their masjid, immediately, if you've been around any long length of time, you can discern what is the ethnicity of that masjid. I can go into a Bosnian masjid. They never have to say the word Bosnia. And I can look in that masjid and I can tell you these people are Bosnian. I can go into a Yemeni masjid. And they never have to say, hey, this is about Yemen. We're all on Yemen. Don't have to say it. But I can tell you what's the ethnicity of that masjid. Everybody, the Albanians, I'm from Detroit, and all of these communities originally started off as ethnic enclaves. And then they kind of changed the names of their masajids. So it wasn't no longer the Yemeni community masjid. It became Masjid Muwadh bin Jabal, right? It was no longer just centralized on the Bangladeshi establishment. You know what I'm saying? No. It became Masjid, I ain't gonna say the name of the masjid. But anyway, these various masjids, they moved from just saying their name, ethnic group, and naming their communities that, or the masjid that, took away that naming convention, but they still operated on the same methodology. The imams come from their community, they respect their community, and they're upon their community. Amongst the African Americans, right? We eschew that. We don't want to be labeled as black. We don't want to be labeled as African American because that's asabiya. And according to some people's understanding, that the Prophet ﷺ didn't call to that. But you can't build unless you have a people that you're building with. And so a lot of times what happened is those Muslim children didn't have nothing, because once you say Islam, okay, what do you build on Islam? Do you build on Islam like the Pakistani? Do you build on Islam like the Misri? All of the people have their own unique identity, and I don't believe that's a bad thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly stated that we are different. What unites us is not uniformity, meaning everybody the same, but unity. We have common goals. We have common ideas where we can each bring our own different groups together and operate and have operational unity, but we don't have to have cultural uniformity.
Yeah, it has to be some. Yeah, our difference is our cultural differences. So the point that I'm making again is that when you come back and you're looking at African American communities,
yes,
I don't see. There's some exceptions that I know about at the moment, like like the community in Atlanta. There's some other communities that I've heard about that I'm like mashallah, but when you talk about on the large scale, okay,
let's talk about the Atlanta community for a second.
No, I don't want to talk about them. No. We because we're gonna get off point. That's
no, we're not gonna get off point. I promise you, Sheikh. I promise you. What I'm saying
I got some more questions. I got some more questions up here, so we're not gonna get off point. That's because our topic is not that, okay? And like I said before, is that that's not our topic. Our topic here is group economics. And if the group economics is if the group economics is for us to come together with some Hebrew Israelites or Christians in our families or Jehovah's Witnesses that are African American, that's my whole point, is that we shouldn't be so caught up to the point where we can't see that we're economically backwards because our Islam has gotten us so wound up to the point where we can't even come together with one another. You know what I'm saying? Be it that the brother's Hebrew Israelite, be it that he's Christian or whatever. Go ahead, Muhammad. You understand what I'm saying?
I do want to address that point. That's what I'm saying. Okay. What I'm about to say addresses that point. I promise you. Hear me out.
Let the brother speak on this right here too now, because I don't want to outline one particular masjid and not like that. You know what I mean? Because that's not the focus.
But you have to hear me out. You have to hear me out. Just hear me out. Just hear me out, and then you tell me if what I said didn't line up with what I said. You said you hold it accountable, right?
No. Let the brother go, and then I'm gonna come back to you.
Nah, Scotty, let him go. Let him finish his point.
So the point I wanted to make was two and very important things that I see with what the Atlanta Masjid has done. When you look at the community, mashallah, it's beautiful, right? But here is the thing. If you look at the culture in Atlanta has a hierarchy of culture. You have the people who just, in the hood, right? But then you also have another level from Atlanta, which you have people who have been historically college educated, and they have built institutions in Atlanta that go back 100 years. They've been amongst the Christians, right? Some of those people, from that strata, the college educated building institution group, they are a part of Atlanta Masjid. That allowed them, that sensibility, that understanding, right, is allowed them what has allowed them to sustain, right? For example, transitioning of leadership, right? It wasn't because most masjids we have, the leadership is transitioned through either trauma, right, or some sort of split. Never do you see leadership, rarely do you see leadership transition as a basis of the leader at the top saying, hey, I need to invest in these younger people, give them, not because he was set down or anything like that. He made the conscious decision to pull up leadership from amongst the ranks, right? And
once again, once again, I gotta make it. Once again, okay, you do have to go back, and you do have to go back, and you got to look at one thing. Once again, it goes back to what I said from the beginning. Anything that is established right now in the African American community as Islam directly has a connection back to the nation. I don't care what nobody says.
well, Sheikh,
I stand on that.
I got no.
I stand on that.
Listen,
I stand on that. Why?
okay.
No. Why? Because the community, look at the community that is there, okay, the community that is established there, even the brothers that was over in Syria with us, okay, when I was in Syria,
Yes.
okay, those brothers right there, they came from Imam Warfdi Muhammad's community,
Yeah.
okay, and they were educated.
By the way,
they were educated inside of the Sister Clara Muhammad School and so forth. But you have to look at the communities that they came from, in which those communities still have the school because they still did group economics to keep the school. When I spoke about my masjid down in San Diego, which is a masjid that was purchased a long time ago, they eradicated the imam. Once they eradicated the imam, the new regime that came in ousted the school. Okay, why did they oust the school? They ousted the school because they didn't have control over the school. Okay, and so these are the kind of things that take place. But once you go ahead and you do that, okay, you taking away some of the teachings. Okay, if you take away the teachings, then you're leaving the foundation as far as how they actually started off anyway. Okay,
but what I want to say was that that fit, it does tell not necessarily so much with the nation, but really with the upper middle class and the upper society of Atlanta blacks, like, and that had nothing to do with just Islam, so to speak, but the reality of the culture of the people, right?
Why I have to say it again. I have to say it again, brother. But that's not the topic. I'm gonna say it again. That's not the topic. Aki, the topic is group economics. Look at the topic is group economics, and I only use Atlanta as an example of a community that if I was to come back, which is not gonna happen. Look at if I was to come back, because my first mindset, you would talk to me 5 or 10 years ago, I'll tell you straight out that if I come back and I'm all the way hooked up with the Sultan, everything. But if I was to come back, I'll tell you in a minute, I look you dead in the eye and tell you I'm joining the nation. Why? Because as a black man, listen to this, as a black man, okay, we can't get so lost into our Islam to the point where we don't understand culturally how to be with our people. Where every other community and race of people can still come together economically and be with their people, but we can't. We are disenfranchised through Islam because we're ignorant to how Islam is supposed to be used as a group of people.
But what I'm saying, Sheikh, is that
I'm over all these communities. I'm in all these communities, okay, and all over the world. none of them have the problems that we have when it comes down to how to implement their Islam. Okay. And I say that to say that um, for me, the, the ground base has to be a community based organization. A community has to be willing to make the sacrifices, okay, and put forth the kind of money to grow. If they don't do that, then you don't really have anything. Okay, you don't really have anything. All right. Eventually, they're gonna get put out the building. Eventually, they're gonna be moving. Eventually, they're gonna be masjidless. Okay, and that, or like the situation that you mentioned, out of houses because you know and that's an unfortunate situation. But like I said, we digress. We move way far away from what the topic.
But listen,
I
what
got
I'm saying
other,
is,
I got other questions. I got other questions that I need to because we're trying to go somewhere. And we're not, look, the topic is not the topic is Aki, the topic is not about Islam, and the topic is not about our Islam and how we practice. It's not the topic.
I'm not talking about that. I'm
okay,
not.
But
you hear
but
words. You hear words, and you think that that's what I'm talking about. You don't.
But you want to go back to. But you want to go back to Masjid al-Islam, and I'm saying that.
No, but you're missing the point. You're missing the point. You hear Masjid al-Islam, but you're not listening to.
I heard you.
What I'm saying is Atlanta. Atlanta has a culture of Black people from different types of thinking being able to operate together. I live in the West End. You got
I'm not disagreeing with that.
You got the Shrine of the Black Madonna. You got the Hebrew Israelites. You got the vegans who all have different cultural aspects. You got Rastafarians. Everybody doing business here, all under different stratas. All under different stratas come together. They're not Muslim. Mm-hmm. So why are the people still able to move around each other and still trade and do business? It is because there is a certain mindset. It is a certain mindset that says, hey, economics, yes, there's a part of belief and that all of that, but also economics is understanding that if you want to have power, you have to do business. And if you want to stay doing business, you got to do it economics.
Yeah, Akil. No, you know what I'm saying?
What's up? You still heard me. You still heard me. You heard me.
You want to be MJ, you know what I mean? And like I said, we leave it. We far away from the topic. Go ahead, Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Muhammad.
Yeah, I would add to that a little bit, just real quick. I think the issue for us is there's no code, and we're not on code. That's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. I think you really gotta throw religion out the door when it comes to us, because us as Black Americans, our situation is very, very unique. It's not like anybody else's, and so I would say that if we're looking at the nation from the standpoint of no matter what you believe in, when they had the Million Man March, which I went to, everybody was there. The Hebrew Israelites, everybody was there. Because, I'm not talking about Akida, of course, or whatever. I'm focused solely on following a code. This is the biggest mistake that I think that, because I grew up in the Afrocentric community in New York, they made, Hebrew Israelites. I think the biggest mistake they made was looking at the nation and saying, okay, we don't like y'all because of what y'all did to Malcolm. We're not going to follow y'all because of X, Y, and Z. So all of this not following each other has led to the situation that we're in now. And so for me, you have to be on code, on code, on code. And I get what the brother was saying about the boule out there in Georgia. I feel like those people, most of them are certified coons. And I feel like once that model is developed, you
No,
know,
that's
they
what
can't
I'm
be in
saying.
it.
That's not what I said. No, Shay. No. I'm not
Uh,
saying I'm not saying no boule. No, no, I'm not. That's not what I said. Y'all not hearing
Akil,
me.
let
I didn't say that.
Akil, Akil, let the brother finish.
uh, yes, brother Akil. I'm not saying that you said that, brother. What I'm saying is that for me, in my eyes, those people in HBCUs, the vast majority of them are certified boule people, especially in the Georgia area.
I think you
This I
studied
know.
down there, right, Muhammad?
I study in the I study in the area. Like them cats are certified boule. But what I mean is those cats to me, while that maybe the model is working in Atlanta, I feel like in the majority of places, those people who are graduating from HBCUs, which I did, a lot of them are certified coons, you know. But I'm saying that to say that all of these different factions have not followed a code, and I feel like the nation has the closest model that we should adapt. Uh, yeah, like you know, like I was saying earlier, a lot of early Afrocentrists they disavow the nation because of involvement in Malcolm or whatever. So then what we have is just a bunch of us warring, and so there doesn't need to be a leader. That's the issue. There just needs to be a code. You follow the code. If we stay on code, then a lot of these things, kind of do go away. I do feel though that the nation's model, like if you take a boy, young black boy, if they see a group of Muslims, being Sunni or whatever, I honestly feel like they're not going to feel anything per se. But if they see a group of brothers from the nation walking down the street, if they go to a program of the MGT, or if they go here, as a child, you're going to feel something. That's just my little 2 cents on that particular topic.
And when you speak in terms of a child that would actually experience or feel something,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only point that I'm trying to make. Is that in order to make the proper impression on our kids, so that they don't
Mm-hmm.
lose hope in what we're doing and go to the
Uh-huh.
streets, is
Well,
that you
yeah,
need to
like
have some. Go ahead. You understand my
yeah,
point? You need to have.
yeah. So I got you. It's like, so for example, growing up, like I was saying earlier, if you saw a bunch of Africans like in the street, you're not going to feel anything. And the reason why you're not going to feel anything is because they don't have that particular cultural tie to you. And this is why, as much issues that we may have with the nation, as much issues as the Afrocentrics have with the nation, when Farrakhan speaks, cats are going to listen. If there's going to be an event, everybody's going to go because culturally we are attached more so than the Africans or the Pakistanis or whatever. Like it's a feeling that you feel, and so I've seen little young black kids, when they see a group of brothers walking down the street, it's a different kind of vibe. So I feel like definitely children, they kind of need to see that because unfortunately, and don't get me wrong, you got a whole bunch of ninjas in the nation, but um, I feel like overall that's kind of the model that we need to adapt as a whole and kind of follow that per se. But that's it.
Go ahead, brother Akil. I know you're not gonna let the brother finish what he said without hitting him in the head. So you get up in there if you got something to say, bro.
No, honestly, I get what the brother's saying. It's just that I'm just going to be candid. I know too much about the nation to accept what we are saying because a lot of it has been mythologized. Like, I know for a fact that none of the business were not really profitable businesses, that they were being subsidized. I know this. So I can't accept that a lot of the stuff was mismanaged. it was, but it was such an influx of money that was coming in that it glossed over it. And so now our people are seeing this and they're seeing like, oh, this is what happened, and it's not the whole truth.
Okay, I have a question for you there. And once again, you taking us off the path, okay? But since you said that, I gotta pose a question, Akil.
Right.
Is it safe to say, based upon your experience and also from my experience with the nation, that is what you spoke of is true?
I was never part of the
No.
nation.
I know that. But you said you spoke to people who were.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I was never part of the nation, and I spoke to people who were. And I was with brothers who was in the nation. They groomed me and so forth. So is it safe to say, based upon the information that you have, that excuse me, is it safe to say that is true for a percentage, not for all?
You said what now? Said what?
Based upon what you said, okay, is it safe to say that may be true for a percentage of the nation, meaning 50%, 40%, 60%? Because you can't say all.
Well, absolutely not all. Absolutely not all.
Okay. No. Okay. That's just a question, and you answered it. Okay. So with that being said, okay, the other half,
right?
Like when when the dude came and asked the companion of Abu Yusuf, who came from Iraq, why you praying like that? And he said, I'm praying like this because of this and this. And then he said, well, where'd you get that from? He said, from the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the brother asked him, I never heard of that hadith. You know the story, right? And so then he said to him, he said, have you memorized all the hadith? He said, no.
Right.
Well, how many? He said, oh, maybe half. He said, well, put this in the other half that you didn't memorize. In other words, and leave me alone. So I have to say what? Is that you can't tear down what we have, regardless if it hasn't met up to the standard of what it is that we would like it to be. Right. But we need to recognize that it is probably what we have that has continued from a long period of time. And it's a lot of good that has come out of that. That's the only thing we're saying. Okay. And so I'm saying that to say that if I'm trying to salvage a situation, meaning a family, that would probably be the route that I would go if I was back in the States. But I'm not back in the States, so that's not my case. I'm just saying if I was, that's the reason why I mentioned that. Okay. Right. Moving to another question, because we went down in the valley. We out of the valley now. We out of the valley. You know what I'm saying? Make sure, Brother Muhammad, make sure Akil doesn't grab the steering wheel again. Okay. All right. Make sure that brother don't grab the steering wheel again. All right. Okay. Make sure. All right. So neither one of you are afraid to practice group economics, correct?
Facts.
Okay, you're not afraid to practice group economics. Okay. So what programs are you involved with right now? As far as none. Okay. What about you, Muhammad? You involved with any?
I
was.
That's
a no.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a no. All right. That's a no. Okay, I know black folks. I know black folks, and that's a no. All right. So, if we, I know black folks well. You know what I'm saying? I'm a black kind of fluent. I can, you know what I'm saying? I know my people well. You know, when they got the new stuff or the bling, they're like, check out what I got. You know what I'm saying? But if it's
Right.
like,
Right.
you know it's a new because we black folk, we know our people. You know what I'm saying? I got
Right.
the New Jordan. I'm coming around there with the New Jordan zone. You know what I mean? So what are some solutions or programs that we could implement that will get us, you know what I mean, to a place where, I mean, and I'm not talking about large scale programs because Dr. Claud Anderson always his programs are, you know, they got levels to them. What I'm talking about is something basic where brothers can start at in localities, wherever they are, and from that program or programs, they are able to basically build and start doing other things. Okay, so whoever whoever would like to go first, you know, but remember where we going. We ain't taking no valley runs or nothing like that. Okay, so Yella, go ahead.
That's funny. Um, Honestly, the easiest one and the simplest one is the susu. And I think the susu opens the doors for, greater economic, programs. I think the issues that we have, especially in the hood, is that, you can never get over the hump. It's like, like something comes up or this or that. Like you can never get over the hump. So I would say brothers needing to start a simple susu, like kind of like group susus under one like main block. And then um, I think initially it could just be brothers trying to save and then trying to attain a larger goal, be it a building or be it this or be it that, or brothers who are either out on the street and needing places to stay or whatever. But I think first and foremost is susu, and then I think you can build from there, because I would say that most brothers don't really have certain funds right now, and so kind of got to start small. And then from that susu, that's when the businesses can start kind of popping off. Let's say 4 or 5 brothers want to start a pizza business or whatever. That uh, part of that susu, I feel like part of the money that you get, the percentage of it needs to be donated to whatever business idea is formulated, and then from there the next group of brothers bring up a business plan. Hey, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. But that susu needs to continue, regardless. You know what I mean? So I think starting off like that would be cool.
You on mute, Shake? I can't hear you.
Yeah.
All right. Brother Akil, are you familiar with the susu?
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
Okay. So basic susu, in basic terms, as far as how we are, we basically it's called co-opting, basically. All right.
Yeah. I'm familiar.
Yeah. Okay. And so this is what the Black Panthers did. Um, the nation did this at one time. You know, you had all these different groups that practice this same type of program of group economics and so forth, like that, right there. Okay, so the ideal um, is to try to create a level you know co-opting in a locality. You know what I mean? Like if that was established before pre-corona, a lot of those communities would be well off right now because they would have a warehouse of dried goods stored away, okay, that they had been purchasing for a period of time and actually being able to sell to their own community, okay, and so that, you know, for a dry period like this right here, and when brothers are not getting paid, they would basically be pretty much good right now. You know what I mean? And so the susu
Mm.
would be something good for a time like this right here. Okay, and no other ideals or put me in again, coach. Well, I would have asked brother Akil. You don't have any type of program plan similar to that? Okay, that would succeed. You know what I mean? Because you told us about your program plan, which was a good plan, but like I said, just didn't have people that had signed on to it. You had signed on to it, but you know what I mean. The people you put into your places didn't really sign on like that. You know what I mean?
I honestly, I don't have a plan.
Kills muted. Okay.
Oh, that just wasn't my forte. I recognize that I don't have a type of business acumen like that. Not everybody can, sell something or whatever, but when something sells itself, you're not really a good, you're not really a businessman. That's not you got to have something that you see as a need and you feel that need. You see what I'm saying? And really, I don't have that type of business acumen, but I do have the willingness to invest to help something grow if presented with the right business opportunity. So whereas I can recognize that something is an opportunity and not just go off of, hey, I would like to see this happen. See, I'm an idealist in that sense that there's certain things that I would like to see happen. So I go all in and liking to see that happen, but that's not necessarily a good business mindset. It's not a good business acumen. You got to see what is feasible and what is applicable to the people that you're dealing with, not just what you want to see happen. So whereas that's a good idea for a teacher to be like that, hey, we need to drive towards this. I can see that happening. That's a good attribute to have as a teacher. It's not so good an attribute to have as a business person, but you can deal with business people who you trust, right? And then that could build something. So to say, like the brother was saying, the susu, yeah, I think that's a good idea. But then who are the individuals that you are working with? Because then it falls into, hey, if I'm going to make the contribution, who else is going to make their contribution? Because if I'm just making my contribution, then, they take out the pocket, then it gets to my turn and like nobody puts back in, what I'm saying? Same scenario.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say was, in terms of that susu, we know our people, and we know ninjas, and we know who's gonna pay, who's not gonna pay. So it's really all about getting like-minded brothers together to kind of implement the susu. One of the things I was thinking about as you were speaking was how, think about the hood. In my hood, black people only spend money with each other in about 3 or 4 different places. It is restaurants, barbershop, hair salon. That's it. At least, like, majority. And so the biggest spending that the biggest thing that we spend money on is rent. And so I think one of the aims of the susu would need to be, one, to start buying back the block. Because once you have that cash flow of about 1,000 or 2,000, and you're able to kind of move that around, brothers who do have business ideas, can kind of make moves. I kind of fall in the same boat with Akil, whereas brother does have a few business ideas, but I know some brothers whose business acumen is like sky high, and like I would kind of defer to them when it comes to certain things of a larger scale. Just from listening to brothers like Claud Anderson. There's another brother here. I forgot his name. it, it'll come to me. But anyway, like this brother too, you know, that's kind of who we need to be following, like period. But on a small scale, like when I think about growing up in New York, like all my money was spent in shoe stores, sneaker store, like like that's where I spent the most of my money. And honestly, I don't even think that many black restaurants per se. I'd say more of your Chinese, more of your Arab spots. That's where a lot of the money has gone. Like if you were to take $1,000, let's say the black community has a balance of 1,000. 800 off top is going where? To the Jewish community. Um, Rent, because they running that. Asian community, you spending at least a 20 and up on restaurants, and what have you. Um, the remaining, like, I don't know, $5, $10, you at check cashing places with your white institution. So once you calculate that, you at about $175 that that you got to yourself. So one of the things I've seen about as I've traveled the world and kind of been outside the states is land. And how precious it is, and how when you do cop land, let's say you cop a building that got 4 units, you stay in 1 unit until you make it out that unit, then you put somebody else in. But like I can't fathom paying rent anymore, like especially that kind of rent at home, like because the days of living in the PJs is over. In particular in New York, they getting they getting cats out of the PJs because rent was cheap, but nowadays it's different. So um, I think that we need to come up with business modules, like-minded brothers, because what's going to happen is this: I have seen black businesses go up in Harlem as quick as I've seen them go up, as quick as I've seen them go down. Because I remember Dougie Fresh, he had a chicken and waffle spot out in Harlem, and the initial buzz was cool, but ninjas did not support it. They walk right past it and go to IHOP, or they walk right past it and go to, like, I don't know if y'all familiar with the eatery, the takeout scene in DC, but pretty much all of the soul food restaurants in DC are run by Korean cats, and Korean cats be in the back cooking. It's slamming, But like when I taught in DC and I would go to these places, I'd be like, that's crazy. Like it's a Korean cat, because normally at home, I mean, like in Harlem, there's a black cat cooking the food, but they cooking grits, they cooking everything, and I just thought how like how crazy that was. That if you were really to scale the cities of DC, the soul food restaurants, for the most part, are owned and run by Korean cats. So yeah, buying back the block. Um, Either buying back the block, or moving to a new area and buy that block up. Because we are their economic lifeblood at the end of the day.
Okay, with that being said,
Mm,
um, so your understanding would be buying up the block, okay? Buying up the block. Um, uh, I I I like the
mm-hmm.
ideal, but I just don't want to be on the
Gotcha.
block. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
block
Why?
hot.
This. You know how I be thinking. Yeah, the block get hot. Yeah, not only the block hot, the block got a lot of mortgage on it and everything like that. And so, and you know how I be talking all the time. My thing is this. Um, if you buy property and you buy property in Africa, from my experience, because Muhammad, I got 3 properties. So if you buy property in Africa, property value just continues to
Congratulations.
go. Even if stop it, man. He cloudy. He knew this already,
How much
Akil.
how much
He
does
just
it cost to
all right.
build a house in
So
Africa?
I'm in the process of building a house right now. Okay. And as inflation used to rise, prices rise. But pretty much when you compare it to what we doing in the States and what we're stuck doing in the States, this I can't buy on the block because that's just we're being robbed. It's a joke. Okay. And so my whole point is that um um like uh for purchase of like the properties that I purchased, I think one of them when the price was low when I first started, I think I paid like maybe about $700 for one. Okay, that was back then. Okay, uh, and then the price started going up, and then I bought two more. Okay, and that's fairly low. The last one I bought like almost, yeah, almost $1,000. Okay, and so at that particular time,
like how? So I'm trying to get numbers. Like how big are the
oh,
properties?
okay.
I think numbers. So you got to help me here.
Okay. Um, all of them are when each one is 500 square meters. Okay, so 500 square meters is 25 by 20 meters. Okay, 25 by 20 meters. Okay, and so if you go on my YouTube channel where this is going to be airing at, what you see is I have a monthly program on there called it's called 40 acres with no mule. That's showing you the whole process as far as purchasing land and how I started, building and so forth, and kind of like, program coming out this month showing you the different stages of the building process. And so, because of the situation with Corona and inflation, everything, the prices are going higher for supplies for building, but it's nothing compared to the situation in the States because anywhere in Africa, once you purchase, you don't owe no more, you don't owe any mortgage. Okay, it's yours.
What
And
about
so
taxes?
taxes may come out to like $20, or whatever like that right there, which is basically nothing. Okay, but if you can't pay the tax, they're not going to take your property. You know what I mean? That's the whole point, and it has nothing to do with a bank. Okay, you know, and so they may even float your taxes to next year. You have to pay it, or down the line. So in other words, it's more of an Islamic concept because this is your wealth. Okay, and you're just being taxed for certain services. You're not being taxed for. You can't be. You really can't be taxed like that, so to speak, for what's really yours, and they can't take it. Okay, so whole different concept. And so that's the whole reason why for me I'm down with with that purchasing power with what is saying, but what I'm not down with is buying it on the block, because if you get it on the block, you're gonna be paying for the rest of your life, and all we have to do is something happen, and then you end up we have bad moments in the hood sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And you know what happened when bad moments take place. You know what I mean? And then all they need to do is you find one person to off, and then you can't pay that mortgage, and then you know how it goes. But yeah, go ahead, Muhammad. You was trying to get in. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Nah, yeah, I was gonna say in your case and in my case, we don't, our properties will be, in the motherland, what have you. But you got cats who ain't leaving. You know what I mean? And so I feel like for those people, one of the solutions to me should be to do what cats have been doing in Georgia, which is by just buying up acres of land. And you can go ahead, get yourself a crib, like these cribs that literally are just put on the land, 13, $14,000 cribs that you just so the only thing that you are worrying about are taxes. You know what I mean? Like, so I do think like cats must leave the area those people who are not going to come to the are not going to come to the motherland. That was it.
So I have a question for both of you. What cities are your properties in right now that you bought in Africa?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Mine is in the Dakar region in Senegal.
And all three of mine are like 30 minutes outside of Khartoum in Sudan.
Yeah, so I would say to that, brother Akil, I think in terms of, moving or not even just moving, just establishing something, it's all about where you want to be. You also you kind of gotta figure out, although a price might be low, you really gotta, scope the area out and figure out why it might be low. But typically in most cases, you're not gonna have any issues. But you might want to be on the west side of Africa, the east side, uh, central. Some parts of South Central Africa are amazing, like Gabon, places are super safe and have little to no issues at all. So I think once brothers, unfortunately, even though you might tell brothers these prices, they're still not going to act on it
But how
for a
much does it cost
whole
to
host of
build?
reasons. But
How much does it cost to build? So, like for example, you can
mhm,
buy property in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? A couple thousand,
yeah,
right? But it's gonna cost you 100,000, 200,000 to build a home, right? I'm not talking about just buying a home
yeah,
block, house in the hood and repairing it. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying to build a home in Africa. How much does it
hmm
cost? Like, what is the final tally I'm looking at to build a just a basic home? I'm not talking about
A
mini.
basic home, okay, a basic home. I'm building two houses, okay? I'm building two houses, and the two houses uh, both sit on two separate pieces of property, along with a like a whole section just for your boys, away from the women and the girls, and then the girls had their own house in the back, and also a master bedroom, 2 bedroom house, well, 3 bedroom house, kitchen, 2 baths with a big yard, veranda, the whole shot, and a big garden in the yard. And in price, even though the inflation is going up right now, I've been doing this now, building for about I want to say about a year and something. Okay, and I'm sending to Sudan every month for building. Minimum, I might send 300, and a high number, $400. Okay. Uh, one month I might send $800. Okay. So, and I've been doing this now for about almost a year and a half. Now, mind you, when I started building, I was on the ground doing the building myself, dug up the foundation because I got a building background, dug up the foundation, helped lay the gravel for the foundation and so forth. So, with all of that being said, we talking about and not looking at inflation rising, uh, a high estimate about $20,000. That's the two houses though. Okay.
Okay.
Now with the situation with the corona and also inflation rising because of the situation in Sudan, you might be talking like I might be looking at an end figure of like about $25,000. Okay. And you know, when I compare that to the situation that we were in, my family, back in America when we ended up selling the house and getting out from under the debt that we were in, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is, I mean, come on, man. I mean, this is for me. This is why I made the decisions that I made early on, is that it was easier for me to make this decision to go this route because it's just cheaper, and you you got all these codes, and you got to follow all these guidelines. You got to do all this right here. You know what I mean? And so it just becomes easy. It's reasonable. You know what I mean? Based upon what you have. You know
So
what I
are you
mean?
connected to a? Are you going to be connected to a power grid? You're going to do your own power? I mean, like.
My situation is that the power grid is already there.
Okay.
What I did have to do is I had to lay down water lines and stuff like that, and I
Okay.
paid for that. I paid
Okay.
for that. So by paying for that, not and these are the hard lessons that you learn when you're in Africa. By
Right.
paying for that water to come there, I made the property value go up.
Okay.
So now if I wanted to buy more land near my own place, the value is up. Why? And then when the guy, I said, I
So you
bought
could have
this
bought
for this.
all the land first and then brought the water in, and you'd have got the land cheaper.
Hey, bro, you don't know those things until they happen, because you trying to do what you need to do. Because I'm thinking
Right.
like an American, I'm trying
Right.
to do what I need to do to get my stuff built. And the only
Right.
way to get your stuff built is that you need water to mix cement, to lay
Right.
bricks. And so
Right.
that was the whole ideal. But couple month or two into it, the dude come over and said, "Yeah, you got somebody that want to buy land? We got some extra land over here." I said, "Oh, really? How much?" He gave me the price, man, like 3 times the price of what I paid for buy. And I'm up for like, how? I bought this for this much. He said, "Oh, yeah, but now it's water over here." And my whole thing was, I looked at the dude, I said, "You didn't bring the water. I brought the water." He said, "Doesn't make a difference." You know what I'm saying? So, and that's how Africans think. It don't make a
Right.
difference who brought the water. It's
The
here
water's
now.
there now.
Yeah.
The
You know what
water's
I
there
mean?
now.
So, yeah. So, yeah, that's how it goes down, So alhamdulillah, I'm not complaining. It's all good. But that's how uh when I think in terms of group economics, because you got a lot of different YouTubers that are in Africa right now.
Yeah,
And,
I've
and,
seen
and
a couple. I've seen a couple.
yeah,
In Ghana, this one family in Ghana, there, they kind of funny.
and I follow all the different groups, you know what I mean, and I'm in touch with them, and trying to do a lot of the same things. And so the reason why I'm speaking on group economics is because in order for our people to get ourselves together stateside, even make a move, or even to repair our situation in America, group economics should be the number one thing that we should be putting our mind into. We shouldn't even think about voting at the moment, like all these people to think about doing, because they ain't gonna give you nothing of stability, because you don't have nothing to give them. You know what I mean? And so these are the problems that we find ourselves in the States, and because of those issues, I just, my focus is on group economics. You know what I mean? And so that's the reason why this topic, I keep banging this topic around, is because um, I'm trying to find brothers that have ideals in like-minded focus, so that we can, get brothers, even if they do it in their locality, and then we all come together, or others do it in their locality, and then we do our thing, and then we network together. Because if some brothers is doing this in Detroit, and we got some brothers doing it in Chicago, so now we got more than one location. And so what we really need to do is we need to be networking. We need to network with each other on all levels, for business, so that we could, put our money to work for us and create what it is that needs to be created there. And anything to be said there?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Anything to be said there, Brother Akil?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
My computer is freezing up a little bit on me. No,
Okay.
alhamdulillah, like I get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm pro group economics, and like I said, I understand clearly what you all are talking about. It's just the methodology, right? You know, I'm from the hood, man. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I'm from the hood, you know, and I've seen
Welcome
how you can
Hood.
build, huh?
I said welcome Hood because we all from the hood.
You know what I'm saying? So my viewpoint on things is often gonna be framed from that perspective too. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? At first, I kind of filtered that out as being a Muslim, and that was to my detriment. But now it's like, no, you have to take the good aspects of what you learned and synthesize that with the deen, right? And that will help you better understand the reality of what's going on and help you to operate in that reality. And uh, the reality is, one of the things that we kind of gloss over is what El Haj Malik Shabazz Rahimullah, what he defined as black nationalism. And what he defined it as: controlling the politics in your neighborhood, controlling the economics in your neighborhood, controlling the policing in your neighborhood. That's what he defined as part of black power. I mean, not black power, but black nationalism. Like, that's how he defined it. Now, of course, it is expanded and it's more global, and absolutely, we should incorporate global thinking into our plans. But make no mistake about it, we have to have political involvement at a local level, not just choosing between two evils. Evil is the evil, but on a local level of controlling the institutions in your neighborhood, controlling the politics of your neighborhood, controlling the schools of your neighborhood, controlling the economics in your neighborhood. That is where the foundation has to be built. And we've moved away from that as Muslims, right? We've kind of moved away from that because nobody wants to say, okay, we black or African American or whatever term you want to use for us. You know,
Okay.
we have
So that goes back. That goes so now you see, now you're going back, and that's the base. Look at, that's the focus. Look at, I'm agreeing with you here, because what? I'm gonna say it again. Okay. What Malcolm did was Malcolm spoke upon that, but Malcolm didn't get a chance to implement that. And so that's why we have so many brothers like Dr. Claud Anderson, Boise Watkins. All of these different doctors are speaking about these particular points now because it wasn't clarified and it wasn't defined. He spoke about it, okay, and he gave lectures on it. But as far as the implementation, understand that the implementation in the beginning, Malcolm's position was about not getting behind a Democrat, not getting behind a Republican. Okay.
Sure.
Now, when you look at the other side of that and you go back now, okay, when you talk about local government and getting involved with local government, what you're talking about now is about having your own economic base so that now you become a party that is listened to. Okay, and now
Have
you
your
have
own, have your own candidate.
and so you are a party to be reckoned with when you got finances. Okay, and the reason why we are not a party to be reckoned with, and we can be shot with impunity, and we can be beaten with impunity, or we can be killed, doesn't make a difference what they do to us, because they know that your black economics, your finances, you don't have two nickels to rub together to go ahead and produce a lawyer that's going to actually go ahead and push it forward. When you do bring a lawyer, it's going to be a class action lawsuit. It's going to be one of those dudes that jump up and say, you know what, I'll go ahead and I'll get this case for y'all. You know what I mean? And the first thing he's going to say is, he going in looking for a settlement.
Right, because he want a third. He want his third.
He's coming in looking for a settlement. He ain't on retainer. He taking it pro bono, and he just want a settlement. And so what they're going to do is they're going to settle with him, get him out the way. He going to look for the next black guy that's going to get shot, next brother, and then he going to do the same thing. And so that right there is not, that's because there's no black economics. There's no real black power. Okay. And so only thing I'm saying is the models that these brothers, the doctors, are talking about now is the same thing Malcolm was talking about, but they're given the blueprint. Okay. And so it doesn't, you could look, you could be doing the basic. I'll give you a model of what some brothers did. I'm not even, some brothers did this. I ain't gonna even mention where they did it at, because then it's gonna tell you who they are. Anyway, brothers got together and they said, yeah, man, we can go down here and we can go down to this farm down here. They sell fresh eggs every day at this price right here. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and fill up the van, go down there, buy fresh eggs, go door to door in the hood, and we're gonna sell the eggs to our own people. Okay, so they going down here and they buying like a crate of eggs, not a dozen, a crate. Okay, and they buying them for like say $1.50. Okay, all right. And of course, they got poop on them and the whole thing. You just bring them on up, clean them up. You know what I'm saying? Wash them, put them back in the racks, clean them up, put them in your racks, and now you taking them around to houses, and you now selling them for $3. Okay, you beating out the price that is at the store. Okay, and they're locally grown eggs, they're organic. Okay, and so boom. They're doing this every weekend. Okay. Community earned like about $3,000. Okay. And so now you got this lump sum of money. Continue on doing the same business that you've been doing. Look for something else. And so you're not putting it into something that's risky. You put it into something that's just basic. It's basic common sense. It's like it's like what we used to do back in the days. Get this, step on it, sell it. Same thing. And so the whole I'm sorry, Aki. The whole ideal is to find something safe to put your money in until you're ready to take a risky move. Okay, because we above water now. We don't have to make risky moves or what we would call make those kind of moves anymore. We can make the kind of moves that with monies you can go. You look at, you can go upstate New York to the we got in LA too. You can go to the what they call the garment district. I think you guys call it something else in New York, Muhammad. I think y'all call it the warehouse or showrooms or where they find you buy clothes up there, just clothes that didn't sell in the stores.
I got you.
And you can go up there take all your money,
Mm.
buy all suits, okay? Nothing but suits, okay? Bring them back down to the city and sell them to your own people at a reasonable price and flip your money over every day, all the time. You know what I mean? Every day, all the time. And ain't nothing illegal about it. It's all above water and it's all straight cash. You know what I mean? All straight cash. You ain't gonna never come up short. That's the point I'm trying to make. You know what I mean? And so that these type of moves, brothers don't make them anymore. You know what I mean? They
Mm.
just don't. They don't make those kind of moves anymore. They, you
Mm.
know, we got brothers that are selling things, but they boosting
Mm. Yeah.
as opposed to buying it and actually
Hmm.
making an honest dollar. That's the only thing I'm saying is that we need to be solely involved with trying to put some coins together and trying to make some
Hmm.
money that's going to be solely clean and
Hmm.
making progress on that in which we make, and so that it can continue making, you know. And so those are the ideals. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So without further ado, because of time, um, uh, I know we've been on here, man, for mashallah for about 2 hours and a half. It's getting late, and
Hmm.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna arrange for something else next week.
Okay.
It's definitely gonna be circled around the same topic, or it could be venturing off into another whole other area.
This is a
Okay?
good one. This is a good one.
Okay, but what needs to take place is this right here. When I send y'all the link, y'all need to shoot the link out and start sharing it with people. Like when you come online, also you sharing it with people. But I might change the time. I might change the time so that it becomes easier for people to get on. You know what I mean? Because I think in
Hmm.
California it's a little bit too difficult for them to get on because some people working on Saturday and also because of the time. You know what I mean? So without further ado, we're gonna close out. And I appreciate having the brothers on, man. This was beautiful here, and we did get to iron out and go over some good points. You know what I mean? We
Hmm.
just gotta remember next time, don't let brother Akil grab the steering wheel. You know what I mean? Don't let the brother grab the steering wheel. All right, and you know what I'm saying. And I appreciate it. You know what I mean? The energy, I felt it all the way through the through the net, and the points that you guys made was right on point.
Hmm.
Uh, Anybody want to make any points closing out? You know what I mean? Go ahead. You know what I mean? You got anything you want to say, Muhammad?
Um, no, no, not really. I just wanted to. I mean, I definitely like to talk. And I think that we need to really, really, you know, link up in different ways in terms of finding alternative streams of income. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, we have to really be honest and kind of weed those ninjas out, or basically whoever isn't on code, be they famous, be they whatever. But you got a lot of cats who are totally, totally not on code. And that's what Dr. Neely Fuller always talks about is, the code is the leader, you know, follow the code. And as long as we kind of stick to that, I think we'll be good.
So no leader follow the code. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's the ground rule that we setting in right now. You know what I mean? For anybody that is, yeah, no leader just following the code. You know what I mean? And I think
And ninjas love leaders.
yeah, ninjas. And this is the problem that we have is that we are so fast to follow leaders. And this is how we always driven down the wrong path, is that we follow leaders, and the leaders that we follow have a tendency that once they go ahead and run us into a whole other direction, then we get lost. He run off with the money. Don't build the institution, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Just because of the leaders. You know what I mean? So,
but let me say this. I believe we have to have leadership, but the leaders have to adhere to a code. I would say the problem has been that we have had leaders who are very charismatic, right? And so we follow the charismatic leader, not even on the code of what the charismatic leader said, what we're going to be following. We just follow him, period.
No, that's why the brother said, no leader, the code is the leader. So in other words, look at this right here, Aki. In order for African Americans, look at this. Hebrew Israelites, Sunni Muslims, all African American, Shiite Muslims, Nation of Islam, Hotepers. I mean, come on, I mean,
I'm following you.
I mean, it's just so much up in there. You know what I'm saying? You got the United Nation of Islam, you got a whole bunch of different groups within them too now. Okay. In order to get
God first.
Look, in order for all of us to be able to try to work together, it's about one thing, and that's the point that he's making, is that we just need to have a code. Stay on code. Okay, the black agenda is the code. It ain't about having a leader, because there's always going to be conflict once those leaders start having character conflicts, ego conflicts, and these are always issues. You know what I mean? And so that the followers behind this leader, the brother said, no, it ain't about that right there. Because once we get caught up into that right there, we're gonna automatically fall out with particular groups, and those particular groups are automatically gonna be our people, regardless if they with our faction or not. And so that's where I'm about. I'm about tearing down the walls of groups. All right. And so,
but then how do you hold people accountable though? If you don't have leadership, you don't have responsibility.
You said it again. No. The code holds them accountable. As soon as a person is off code, we leave them alone. When he comes back on code, he back in the fold, Akeem. It's very simple. Okay, because we have had leaders up until this point who have not been on code, and no one has checked the leader, and the leader has run rampant. Okay, and pillaged and I mean, just come on, man. I mean,
I get your point. I'm going to get you started. I get your point.
Look, it's about the code. And if the code is established, then everything else is thrown out the window. You guys got your ideology. Okay, cool. With that, okay, we support y'all, but we you know what I mean? We ain't becoming Shiite. We support y'all, but we not waiting for the mothership. We support, you know what I mean? But we support y'all economically. That's the only point that the brother making, and it's about the code. It's just about the code. And so without further ado, we leave it on that point right there, is that when we come together next week, and the goal here for next week is this. Everybody got a homework assignment. The goal for next week is what? Everybody has to bring at least one more person with them. Okay? That's the code for next week. Bring one more person with you. Okay? If you ain't bring no person with you, you off code. you ain't you know what I'm saying? Because the ideal is to try to put like-minded minds together so that we can pick each other and come up with something. Because I'm already doing something, you already doing something, the brother's already doing something. So what we need to do is we need to put somebody else in with us that is likewise looking to do something, so he can feed up off of whatever energy he get from us, so that we can, and then likewise we just keep building like that right there. And my whole thing is this right here: it doesn't make a difference if you're only putting $10 in together, because that's how sincere the Africans are. They'll put in $5, but they put in $5 consistently for 10 years. That's the difference. 10 years consistently. You know what I mean? And so that's what makes the difference. You know what I'm saying? We own, and then oh man, you know I got some issues. You know how we are. I mean, you know, we got some brothers that, you know, you, like you said, you put them in your house, and you know what I'm saying? I'm from a different kind. You know what I mean, Akil? I'm sorry to say it. I'm from a different kind. We come, you know, I'm from California. I would have quietly and politely moved the brother's stuff to the masjid. You're a good brother, Akeem. You're better than me. I'd have moved the brother's stuff to the masjid, straight like that. And if anybody in the community had an issue with it, I would have told them, okay, let's go ahead and do what a community's supposed to do. Who's gonna pay the rent for the brother? Because if you ain't got nothing to, if you're not willing to put something in to cover it, you can't speak on it. That's the position I got, because this is business. Okay. And that's just me, Akeem. I come from a whole different grade. I come from the grade that Jesus right here. But if you come short, you know I'm looking right. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the background. You know what I'm saying? And so me loving you is am I not my brother's keeper? You know what I'm saying? That's our background. So my whole thing is, yeah. So, you know, so you know, I'm just saying, you know, that's just where I'm at with mine, you know. And so what we have to do is we have to try to do what is good for the next generations to come. Because me and the thing I'm doing right now is about my wife and about kids, about making sure that they have something. You know what I mean? So that they don't have to do what we having to do. You know what I mean? At least learn how to do it from us, so that they don't have to go backwards again like that. So, you know, without further ado, we sign off. You know, love you, brothers, man. Remember, next week, everybody brings one man. Everybody brings one man. Okay?
Gotcha.
Okay. So without further ado,
Wa alaikum assalam.